What it do, Tao Clan? It's your boy Tommy from taophysique, back again with another video, guys. So today we are going to be doing a follow-up to a video that I actually did last week, where I was talking about if calories matter while you're doing intermittent fasting or doing keto. And guys, after I released that video, I got torn a new one. I mean, I got murdered in the comment section, man, and it made me realize that I did not do a good job. I kept things way too simple. And in this video, I'm going to use a lot of scientific research to back up the things that I'm saying. Because if there's anything that I like more than girls, peanut butter, and muscles, it is a good debate, man. That intellectual warfare. So guys, just like last time, if I say something that's very insightful or I teach you something new, please share this video with your friends so we can spread the word and put an end to this nonsense and find out the truth. So if you guys are ready, let's begin this video. So we are back, man. This is where the last video went down, and this is where I shall get my redemption. So for those of you guys that have been following my progress, today I hit my goal, guys. I hit 184.6 pounds. So that means I finally hit my goal of hitting 185 pounds. But I'm gonna kind of wait. I'm gonna see if it's just a fluctuation in water. I'm gonna wait a few days and then I'll decide if I need to actually stop the diet. But let's get straight into the topic, man, because this is important. Oh, and also shirts are coming soon, guys. So for all you guys that put in the last video, saw your feedback, thank you so much for the feedback. The shirts are coming soon. But anyways, yes, like I said, back to the video, guys. Dudes, this was really on my nerves, man. It's been keeping me up late at night, man. I was like, damn, man, I did a horrible job that last video. I need to redeem myself. I need to put the information on the line so that you guys can make a good decision for yourselves, right? Because I don't want there to be any confusion about this whole matter about calories or hormones. So with this, we are gonna start this debate, man. So you know what? Let's begin round number one. Alright guys, so round number one, we are going to be focusing on Dr. Fung. So before we even get any deeper into this, right, I just want you guys to know that when it comes to the first law of thermodynamics, this cannot be argued. What is even funny is Dr. Fung himself, he even agreed that the first law of thermodynamics is valid.
So remember that in this hormonal model, you're not breaking any laws of thermodynamics. You're not saying that you're creating energy out of nothing, right? And this is one of the things that's always leveled at these low-carb people. It's like, well, what? You don't believe in the law of thermodynamics? No, we're not saying that at all, you idiot. It's
Now, I know that some of you are going to be probably saying that, man, what the hell do you know, man? You're not a doctor. You don't know anything. I have been working as a personal trainer for 8 years, guys. I've been helping people get in shape for almost a decade. And also, I graduated from the University of Alabama with a mechanical engineering degree. Roll Tide! So, with that, man, guys, I am geeky as hell, man. I'm a huge nerd. I love science. I love to do research, and I love looking at very technical things. Also, you know what? I lied. I lied to you guys. I actually am a doctor, guys. I actually have my doctorate degree from the Shredded University. Yeah, University of Shreds, baby. Look at all my degrees, guys. I'm just playing, but anyways, but for real though, guys, just because I am lean, that doesn't mean I actually know anything that I'm saying, right? There's no guarantee. But before you get to a judgment, I want you guys to watch the entire video and then judge at the end. Please, just bear with me. So to begin, let's look at some of Dr. Fung's claims. So he claims that calories don't really matter and that as long as you can control your insulin, weight loss will occur.
So if you're worried about obesity, the proximate cause of obesity is too many calories. But the thing that ultimately causes it is the ultimate cause. There's another model of hormonal obesity which treats obesity as a hormonal problem. So again, the proximate cause is still too many calories. But what's driving you to have too many calories? Well, it's insulin. If you have a hormonal view of obesity, then the treatment is not willpower. So the treatment then is to lower insulin, right?
So to support this claim, he actually picked a study where they got people that had diabetes, they pumped them with insulin, specifically 100 units of insulin per day. But what is interesting here is they also put them on a caloric deficit of 300 calories. Now the interesting thing here is even though they were in a deficit of 300 calories, the participants of the study, they still gained weight, which is kind of like interesting because this kind of defies the energy balance equation. But the thing here is, guys, they use exogenous insulin. They use insulin that was from outside the body. So guys, unless you're diabetic and you're currently taking insulin, this study probably does not apply to you, right? And honestly, on this channel, I promote the natural lifestyle. I don't like my subscribers to be using any kind of drugs. So we need to look at studies that deal with insulin where there's no drug use involved. So in the study you see on the screen right now, subjects were given either a high glycemic load diet where insulin secretion was high with 60% carbs, 20% protein, 20% fat, or a low glycemic index diet with low insulin secretion with 40% carbs, 30% protein, and 30% fat, and the weight loss was examined relative to the baseline insulin secretion. Now, people that had very high insulin secretion, they lost more weight on the low carb, low glycemic index diet. And the reason why this is because of insulin sensitivity, right? Insulin sensitivity is very genetic and it's different from person to person. So for those of you guys that don't know, insulin sensitivity describes how sensitive your body is to the effects of insulin. So what this means is if you have high insulin sensitivity, you only need a low amount of insulin to bring down your blood glucose, while compared to if you had low insulin sensitivity, you need a lot of insulin to bring down your blood glucose. And again guys, insulin sensitivity is very variable between individuals. It's not the same for every single person. So in this study that you guys now see on the screen, they looked at the effectiveness of different dietary macro compositions on weight loss in obese women. The results here were also very interesting. They found out that women with high insulin sensitivity, they actually lost double the weight when they ate high carbs compared to a low carb diet, while women with low insulin sensitivity, they lost double the weight on a low carb diet when compared to a high carb diet. So some of you guys might be confused right now. You're like, what the hell? The results are split. You have one group that did very well on high carb and you have another group that did very well on low carb. So what this means is when it comes to carb intake, there is not one universal thing that applies to everybody, right? It all depends on your genetics because some people genetically can handle more carbs than others. So pretty much this proves that going low carb is not the only way when it comes to weight loss, that depending on your genetics, you might actually be able to do better with a higher carb intake. So there's really no one size fits all approach when it comes to carb intake when it comes to weight loss. Alright, so moving on, now we are on round 2 of the debate, right? In this round, Dr. Fung was making a point that calorie restriction does not work for weight loss in the long term. And he claims that by lowering insulin, you can get better weight loss over the long term compared to caloric restriction alone. And to support this claim, he used a study which referenced the use of a drug called DAPA in order to reduce insulin.
And recently there's another drug which has shown the same thing. So these are the SGLT2. So this drug, which is a new drug that's approved for type 2 diabetes, actually shows that you can lower insulin levels, right? It makes you pee out the sugar and your insulin levels go down. So what's fascinating to me really, when I look at something like this, is that you can follow these people out longer, to a year, 2 years, even 4 years now, and that weight stays off. And this is fascinating because if you look at virtually every single diet study available, people's weight goes back up at around 6 months. It goes down, we all know this, right? It goes back up. It doesn't. Why? Because you've lowered the insulin. But when you lower insulin, which is the ultimate cause of obesity, that weight goes down and stays down, which never happens.
The problem I have with this is very similar to the problem I have in the first round. Right here, he's using a drug to make a claim. And we all know this, that whenever you take drugs, drugs can affect multiple pathways in your body. And in this study, all they looked at was the drug's effect of insulin. And plus, this drug made you pee out your carb. So really, you weren't even absorbing all the nutrients you were getting in. So your calorie in portion was actually lower because of you taking this drug. So to be fair, we have to look at other studies that don't use drugs, because on this channel I don't want you guys to resort to drugs. I want you guys to stay all natural. So by using his logic, he's stating that by keeping insulin low, you can lose the weight and you can keep the weight off as long as you keep insulin low. So to disprove this, we need to look at studies that do this with diet alone, no drugs. So in this first study, 63 individuals were randomized to either a low-fat, high-carb diet or a low-carb diet group, high-fat. Now what is interesting in this study was the low-fat group was calorie restricted, but the low-carb group was not. So pretty much the low-carb group, they didn't tell them to eat any amount of calories, they just told them just do low-carb, right? While the low-fat group, they were forced to actually eat a certain amount of calories per day. Now the results of this are actually very interesting, right? So in 6 months, the low carb group actually lost more weight compared to the low fat group. But over the span of 12 months, right, the low carb group actually lost similar amount of weight to the low fat group. So what this means is over the long term, there was no metabolic advantage to actually having a low carb diet. But to be fair, we have to look at other sources as well. So this study that you're seeing on the screen, 322 obese individuals were randomized to 3 different diets. You have a low carb diet, which was not calorie restricted. You have a calorie restricted low fat diet, and you also have a calorie restricted Mediterranean diet. And this study went on for 2 years, guys. So this is long enough for us to actually see the changes over the long term. So the low carb group, over the span of 2 years, they lost 10.4 pounds. The low fat group, 6.4 pounds. And the Mediterranean group lost 9.7 pounds over the span of 2 years. And guys, when you look closer at this study, what is interesting is just like the previous one, in the first 6 months, the low carb dieters, they lost the most amount of weight. They lost more than the Mediterranean dieters and the low fat dieters. But what is interesting is after 6 months, even when they told them not to restrict their calories, the weight started to come up again. So what this means is even when they did low carb and insulin was low, they started to gain weight after 6 months. Now, why do you think this happened? Now, my guess right here is because they were not calorie restricted, what happens was when they started to do the low carb diet in the first 6 months, they got the appetite suppression effects of the low carb diet. But after 6 months, the body had fully adapted and it was like, I know what you're doing here. You're not smart. I'm gonna force you to start eating more. Because guys, the body is very intelligent. It likes you to stay the same. Whenever you lose weight, your body also tries to work hard for you to gain the weight back. The truth is, when it comes to weight loss, the hardest part of weight loss is maintenance. And guys, honestly, with maintenance, all you have to do is just stay dedicated to your exercise and stay dedicated to your nutrition as well. Because it has been shown through studies that with nutrition alone, maintenance is not very successful. But by adding in exercise on top of nutrition, maintenance tends to do better. So that means people actually maintain their weight better after weight loss when they do both exercise and both nutrition as well. So guys, what it's trying to say is there's no magical bullet to weight loss. Once you've lost it, you are still going to need to work hard to keep the weight off. And again, this totally disproves the claims that Dr. Fung made, where he said that by keeping insulin low, that means your weight will stay stable. Because look at the low carb group. Obviously, the insulin was lower because they were consuming less carbs, but still, they still found weight regain. It just shows that the body is more intelligent than we like to believe. Okay, now for round 3, we need to switch gears. I'm done talking about Mr. Jason Fung. Oh, sorry, not Mr. Dr. Jason Fung. Now let's move on to somebody else, because in that last video, some of you guys, you actually pointed me to a very interesting guy on YouTube. What's his name? Yeah, Jason Wittrock. Jason Wittrock is another YouTuber who is very big on keto. He actually has diet plans and a whole program around keto called Keto Cycle. So if any of you guys are interested in keto, definitely go check him out, because I'm gonna leave the links to the description below. Oh, and by the way, all the links to the studies are going to be in the description below, guys, in case you want to double check all the things that I'm saying. But anyways, back to Jason. He did a very interesting experiment on himself, where he ate 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day while doing doing keto, right, for 21 days. And what is interesting is, even with that high caloric intake, Jason did not gain any weight. Now, to some of you, this might sound crazy, but this can be explained. But for all the people that are doing keto, the way they explain this is because he was doing keto and insulin was low, that's why he was not able to have any fat stick onto his body, because insulin was not able to store any of the fat. But guys, this is false. You have to understand this. You can actually store body fat in the absence of insulin, right? Because guys, there's another enzyme in the body called HSL, and HSL is a fat burning enzyme. When you eat carbs, HSL goes down, hence reducing fat burning, right? But what is also interesting is when you eat fat, HSL goes down as well, so fat burning also goes down. So guys, what this means is your body is very intelligent. Just because you bring down carbs doesn't mean that you can't store fat. Your body is very smart, guys. It finds ways for you to store fat, even when you think you're so clever just by doing low carb, right? I think the misunderstanding when it comes to Jason is that people think, or they assume, that the energy balance equation is stable, or that is static. That is like you burn some amount of calories or you eat some amount of calories and it's the same. But this is not true. When you eat calories, it actually affects your calories out. So if you eat more calories, your energy out actually increases because your body is trying to adapt to prevent weight gain. And if you reduce your intake, your energy out also reduces because your body is trying to adapt to keep you the same. It doesn't want you to lose weight. Your body likes to stay exactly the same in homeostasis, right? The energy out part of the energy balance equation, it actually has 4 compartments, right? So the first one of energy out is you have your BMR, your base metabolic rate, and this is how much energy you burn just doing absolutely nothing, just being at rest. Now, research has shown that when you do eat more, your BMR also increases slightly, and when you eat less, your BMR also reduces, right? This is well known. I'm not going to go too deep into this in this video because I don't want it to be too long. Next, we have TEA. Now, TEA is your thermic effect of activity, and this is pretty much how many calories you burn just doing any kind of physical activity, any kind of exercise. So you going to the gym, you going for a run, you going for a swim, that's how many calories you burn through TEA. Then number 3, the third compartment, is we have TEF, which is thermic effect of food. So guys, whenever you eat food, your body actually burns calories to process that food. So on average, TEF or TEF is about 10% of your intake. So what that means is if I were to eat 3,000 calories, I will actually burn off 300 calories due to TEF to process the food. But when I increase my calories 4,000, my TEF is going to increase to 400 because I'm burning 10% of 4,000, and it now takes 400 calories for me to process that food. So really, instead of a surplus of 1,000, you actually really have, technically due to TEF, a surplus of 900 calories, right? But TEF is not the main contributor when it comes to the adaptation to overeating or undereating. The main contributor to that adaptation is this thing called NEAT, N-E-A-T. So NEAT is called non-exercise adaptive thermogenesis. Now, what NEAT is any kind of activity that you do outside of formal exercise. So things like fidgeting, like what I'm doing with my hands right now, or shuffling your feet, or any kind of random movement you do during the day that is not formal exercise, that is NEAT. NEAT goes up and down depending on your caloric intake. When you eat less calories, your NEAT goes down, because I'm sure you guys have all experienced this, that when you go on a diet, you tend to get lazy as hell, man. You don't want to do a damn thing. You just want to just chill on the couch because you're eating less calories, you have less energy, duh. But the opposite happens when you actually overfeed and you eat more. Your NEAT goes up. So guys, this all means nothing if I have nothing to back it up. So I actually found this very neat study about NEAT. Get it? NEAT study. that was a bad joke. Anyway guys, so with this study that you see on the screen right now, 16 people were recruited, and these people were overfed by 1,000 calories every single day for 8 weeks. Now for this study, they actually clamped down exercise because they didn't want these people to burn any of those excess calories through to activity. They did this because they wanted to see how much weight the participants would gain while they were living a sedentary lifestyle. So guys, the results of this study were extremely interesting, guys. Over the course of the study, an average of 432 calories per day was stored, and 531 calories were dissipated through increased energy expenditure, and this accounted for 97% of the total. That means that these people were overfed by 1,000 calories, and over the span of 8 weeks they only absorbed half half of the calories they consumed, guys. That's incredible. So the other half was burned through NEAT, just like what I'm doing right now. They burned their calories just through random fidgeting. That's pretty amazing. But what is crazy is in this study, there was one lucky son of a gun, man. In the entire 8 weeks, this guy ate 1,000 calories over his maintenance, and at the end of the study, he only gained 0.8 pounds. That is incredible. This guy stuffed his face and he literally gained less than a pound in 2 months, man. Jesus Christ. Like, talk about good genetics. That's just incredible. NEAT is very variable for each individual. It is totally genetic. There's nothing you can do about your NEAT. The only thing you can do about that is picking different parents, right? So what this means is some people are better at not gaining weight when overfed. Now, how does this apply to Jason? Because you never know. Jason could be one of those people that he has that kind of phenotype that he can eat so many calories and he finds a hard time gaining. I mean, I think we all know somebody that they can eat so much food and somehow they just remain skinny. They just stay lean. You're like, where the hell are they putting it all? But now you have a good reason and you can now show this to your friends. You can be like, hey, you know, I know why you can't gain weight. It's because you're NEAT. I really need to stop with the bad jokes, man. So guys, think about this. This study was for 8 weeks, right? But Jason only did his own experiment on himself for 21 days, right? That is not enough time to be able to judge anything. And another thing is, on Jason's experiments, the sad thing is there was no control group, right? Guys, with any single study you want to compare, you need a control. You need to see what happens when you do the opposites, right? What will make this a lot better was if Jason were to actually eat the same amount of calories, but instead of doing keto, he actually did maybe a higher carb diet, and then he observes what happens to his weight, and then we can now make a better judgment call, because right now we only have him doing keto, so that's not a very good experiment right there. But since we're using anecdotes here, I want to introduce you guys to one of my clients and very good friends, Cyrus. So Cyrus, I worked with him a few years ago when he was skinny as fuck and he wanted to get swole, man. And back then I didn't know a lot of stuff because I was a young fresh trainer, so I was like, hey man, I've been reading about keto. I found out that it's good for your testosterone. Hey, let's do a keto bulk. So guys, Cyrus bulked on keto, guys. He was actually able to gain weight while he was in deep ketosis. Now, to be able to check that he was in deep ketosis, he actually got one of those keto strips and he peed on it every morning to make sure that he was in deep ketosis every day, because he was anal like that. It was freaking crazy, guys. But even while he was still in deep ketosis, he was still able to gain weight. He still put on tissue. Now, according to the logic that most people that do keto use, this should have been impossible. There should have been no way that Cyrus was able to actually gain any weight while being on a ketogenic diet, because insulin was almost non-existent. So how did he do this? Because guys, he was eating less than 30 grams of carbs per day, and his protein intake at the time was also low as well. So this again disproves that you can gain weight on keto. But also, to be fair, this is an N1 study. I'm only using Cyrus here and this is anecdote. To be honest, I don't know what he was doing behind closed doors. For all I know, he could have been sneaking in Big Macs behind my back or eating Doritos when he was going out with friends at night. I have no idea. There was no way I could keep tabs on him. And the same thing goes with Jason. Jason, there's no way you know what he was doing behind closed doors, guys. Because one thing you have to realize, right? You don't see everything that we do in our lives on camera, guys. There are some things that I do that you guys don't see on camera. With that, it would be better if it was a more controlled study where they were actually placed in a scientific environment, in a clinical environment, and the variables were controlled. But with that, this is just anecdote. That is anecdote versus anecdote, so it really doesn't mean a thing. But I just brought that up because I thought it would be interesting for some of you guys to hear. So guys, bottom line, if you are paying attention to all the things I've said, you probably now realize that there are multiple ways to get to the same goal, right? There's not a one size fits all when it comes to health and fitness. So really, there's no need to be a zealot to any one approach. You have to realize that what may work for you is not guaranteed to work for somebody else, and there are different ways to get to the same goal. But one thing that we can all not deny on that is every single person watching this applies to you, and that is you cannot defy the first law of thermodynamics, that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Your energy needs to go somewhere, guys, regardless of your hormones, right? So calories in, calories out, plain and simple. But to drive this point home some more, I want to introduce you guys to this professor from Kansas State University, Mark Hubb. Mark performed an experiment on himself where he actually ate 1800 calories for 10 weeks. Now, usually he maintained his weight at 2600 calories. So this means he was in a calorie deficit of about 800 calories per day. And by the way, just in case I forgot to mention, Mark was also a nutritional professor. So this is a guy that he makes a living off studying nutrition, right? So guys, while he was eating 1800 calories, right, for 10 weeks, 2/3 of his caloric intake came from Twinkies. Yes, I said it. Twinkies, guys. This dude over here, he ate 66% of his calories from Twinkies. Now, he did also take a multivitamin, a protein shake, and some veggies. But come on, man. Like, seriously, are you kidding me? This dude was eating junk food all freaking day. And you won't believe his results, guys. So, at the end of the 10 weeks while eating crap, this guy actually lost 27 pounds, guys. He lost 27 pounds in 10 weeks while eating Twinkies. Twinkies! Jesus. That is just insane. I mean, if you guys are not flabbergasted, then I don't know what to say. But now I'm sure there are some of you watching this that are probably getting mad. They're like, oh my god, Twinkies, oh, that's not healthy. No, it doesn't matter that he lost weight. What happened to his health? His health probably just got worse. Now guys, the study or the experiment, it gets even more interesting. It gets more fun the deeper you get into the rabbit hole. So Mark actually did some blood work and took his vitals at the beginning and at the end of this experiment, right? And here were his results. His body fat went from 33.4% to 24.9%. His good cholesterol, HDL, increased by 20%. His bad cholesterol, LDL, decreased by 20%. His triglycerides dropped by a whopping 39%. So overall, guys, this dude ate Twinkies and his health actually improved. When I found that out, I was like, wow, that's freaking incredible. But when you think about it, this can be explained because there actually have been studies that have shown that when you reduce your body weight by 5 to 10%, your health markers actually improve. Now, this doesn't mean I am saying that you should go ahead and start eating Twinkies, man, and that you should revolve an entire diet around Twinkies and junk food. No, I'm not saying this at all because guys, you have to remember, he was in a caloric deficit and he was losing weight, so that changes things as well. And plus, you trying to eat a diet like that on maintenance can have a totally different effect. Again, they'll need to do a study on this while he was eating maintenance to see if his health markers actually got worse, but they did not. But I think we can all assume that it's probably not a good idea to have your entire diet revolve around junk food. So with that, what I usually tell my clients and other people that ask me is to use Pareto's rule where you do 80-20. So 80% of your food can be whole, nutritious, clean food, and 20% can come from wherever the hell you want. Because as long as you're doing Pareto's rule, when you do the right thing 80% of the time, the other 20% where you mess up, it really doesn't matter. You are still gonna see results. And in my opinion, this is good balance right here. So that way you don't need to stress out too much if you have a donut here and there. I mean, I don't know about you, I love fitness, man, but I also love to live my life and I love to enjoy myself. So I'm not gonna give up those things just because I want to be shredded. So guys, with all this information I laid out, let's wrap this video up. So what I'm trying to say right here with all this information I give you guys is this, right? That if you're doing intermittent fasting, you're doing keto, high carb, low carb, Atkins, whatever diet you're doing, if you're currently seeing results, right? Who gives a fuck what anybody thinks about your diet? As long as it's working for you, you are good to go, man. And there's no need to even care why it works. If it is working, it is working. No need to nitpick every single thing, right? But here's the thing. If you are watching this and you are currently doing a diet and it is not working for you, you need to take a step back and you need to look in the mirror and you need to be 100% honest with yourself that what you're currently doing is not working and you're not seeing results. Plain and simple, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results is called insanity, and it means that you need to just change your approach. So if that is you, please stop making excuses for yourself. Stop blaming your genetics. Stop blaming your hormones. Stop blaming your cousin Vinny that always brings donuts to your house and always tries to get you off your diet. Stop blaming everybody. Stop blaming everything. Take full responsibility for where you currently are in your life. Excuses only sound good to the people making them. Nobody gives a damn about your excuses. If there's one thing that we can all agree on when it comes to getting in shape, or in fact getting success in anything in life, you need these three things, man. You need hard work, you need determination, and you need consistency. So stop looking for a magic bullet and finally take some responsibility in your life for where you currently are. Because guys, wherever you are right now is a combination of all the decisions you made in the past. But that doesn't mean it has to be that way. You can still change right now if you're not getting the results you want. Just use a different approach. Open up your mind. Don't be so one mind tracked and be a zealot into this one thing that's not working for you. Because obviously for this video, I've shown you that there are multiple approaches to get it in shape. So please guys, I am begging you, please, I care about you. Stop playing that blame game and start making some positive changes in your life to improve your life today. Whew, man, that was a lot of information, man. I got really heated. Whew, it's kind of hot in here. So guys, if you like this video, don't like the video, share the video, and if you haven't subscribed, man, go ahead and subscribe already, because you know it is cool up in here. And to all my fellas, don't forget who we do it for, guys. The ladies. Peace.